You're here because you want to know where your blind spots are as a man. You take responsibility for, I'll speak about myself, show that you didn't know you caused in the past, maybe in your current relationship or in the past relationship, and you don't want to make those same mistakes again. You want to know how to make her love you for life, right? As we say, you want to know what your blind spots are. Oh, welcome, gentlemen. Love to see you. This is Miss Cynthia Cruz, the only woman allowed on this show for her professional feminine perspective. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So what belief are you wanting to change? And two men said, I have discovered that I hold a hidden belief of inadequacy, and this has prevented me from reaching my potential. Society these days teaches us that you're not a complete person unless you buy their thing, or you're, Jerry Maguire, you complete me kind of a situation, right? Can definitely relate to that of inadequacy. We're going to get into that today too. I have a belief that there's scarcity in my life. It's not actually true most of the time. Or if there is an actual element of scarcity, I need to look at it as a challenge to overcome. And this man, I love how he's looking at this in a positive way, right? Even if we have money scarcity or love scarcity, or we're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, Googling shit when we know we should be sleeping because we're worried about something, that's that feeling of scarcity within us. It's our brain firing, the hamster on the hamster wheel rolling around. Okay, here is our question from the forum. What would you do if you were this man, or if this man was sitting across from you having, coffee, having beer with you, friend of yours? What would you say? What would you do if this was you? Hello, gentlemen. I'm working on being a strong and confident leader in my relationship with my wife. One of the challenges for me is to overcome the monkey madness in my thoughts, where I allow her lack of response and interaction to affect me. If I don't reach out to her and initiate conversation or interaction, there would be none. She's on her phone playing Toon Blast most of the time. I don't know what Toon Blast is, but it must be engaging. We're on our annual family vacation with my wife and kids to visit my mother, and the distance between my wife and I seems magnified. I know it's no different than when we're at home, but it feels so much more magnifying for some reason when we're on vacation. We went to an amusement park yesterday with the kids, and she basically said nothing the entire time, which is reflective of how she is when we're at the house as well. It's like she's tuned out to everything. I couldn't help but ask her a few times at the park, how are you doing? And she simply responded, I'm fine. Ooh, the dreaded I'm fine. I've been reaching out to her with hugs, rubbing my fingers through her hair, and even occasionally will reach out and grab her hand and hold it a while when we're walking somewhere. She doesn't say anything when I do these things, but it feels to me that maybe she doesn't like it. I'm wondering if I should ask her how she feels about it. For example, me reaching out and holding her hand. Like, do you like when I do this, or would you prefer that I not? ? If I don't ask her and just continue to grab her hand and she doesn't like it, but for whatever reason isn't comfortable saying it, she may be getting more resentful towards me. I know ultimately I have to just be the best version of me and not be concerned with what she's thinking. I'm just wondering if there is a place for asking her what she's comfortable with? ? All right, unmute yourself. Come on in. What would you do if you're this man? Or what would you ask this man if you were sitting across from you? What would you say? Unmute yourself. Come on in.
I actually just read something yesterday, and it was a different website, and it was basically how to get her to engage. And I know, a lot of people know this. Instead of asking closed-ended questions, ask the more open-ended. And I know I struggle with this because I've asked my wife the open-ended questions. And realistically, if she doesn't feel like talking, she's not going to talk. That's the way it is. But at the same time, I know it's a game of attrition. And I know that, the more I ask her those open-ended questions, and the questions, instead of asking, hey, do you feel okay? And that's a yes or no response, asking, hey, what'd you like about today the most? Or what was your favorite moment from today? Or, what was your least favorite moment for today? Questions like that are more engaging, and they're more likely to get an emotional response because she's actually going to put thought into it instead of saying, I'm fine.
I love that. I want to get back to what you said there around, okay, maybe open-ended questions. And if she doesn't want to talk, she's not going to want to talk. And I have some more thoughts there.
For example, about the hand holding thing, I would phrase it like this. I want to hold your hand. How does that make you feel? Something like that. Lead with what you want. And to piggyback, you could also say, hey, this is my favorite part of the day, or this is my favorite ride, or this is my favorite thing. What was yours? Again, lead by example in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So definitely practicing what we've been talking about on the show, right? Very cool. I want this. You could just say, I want this, right? Or follow up with, how does that feel, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I can add to it. Instead of, I don't want to lean on what you shouldn't do, but like what he was saying, he wants to ask her if that's okay. That's like asking for mommy's permission to hold her hand. You don't want that. Don't do that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and it depends. And this is nuanced, right, guys? This is art. So it depends on how you're asking, the inflection in your voice. We obviously are reading words, which is only 7% of communication, right? The tonality and your body language is the rest of it. So yes, I agree with those things. So let's take a step back. Let's kind of go to 10,000 feet or 30,000 feet here. Yeah, go for it, please.
I mean, I agree with everyone said. I think though, you'd want to know where this guy is in his, relationship. It may be still too much. I mean, she seems to want a step back. So maybe he needs to, take a step back from the relationship a little bit and give her a little bit of space, because she's not talking, and maybe I would say maybe she wants space from him. So I don't know. It depends on where he is. I know, your staircase of intimacy and where he is on that level, and, maybe touching, as much as just holding hand isn't that big of a deal, but it's still maybe a lower, where he is on the scale of intimacy.
Yeah. So that's a bigger picture view. And when you were talking, I thought about, what we've talked about before, in that there's you, there's her, and then there's the relationship, the three entities here. And we could look at the situation from all 3 points of view, right? So what we're looking at is what can I say? What can I do? And you're saying basically, okay, relationship wise, maybe she wants us to back off a little bit. Right. Yeah, I love it.
Just because I think, because I was there, we just try to push and that's just more pressure. So, if that's too much, we want to be mindful of that.
It depends on the sort of meta of what's going on in the relationship, right? Yeah. So I agree with everyone. Keep going, please.
I mean, she's kind of telling him in a different language, we want direct answers. We want to say things and get like, I'm asking this, you answer with a direct answer, but she's answering with emotion and body language and just all these myriad of ways of communicating without saying the words. And he's not hearing the language. And I fell victim to that big time, in that, like, she says, well, I've been communicating all this stuff. It's like, what? No.
Your mouth wasn't moving. What do you mean?
It's a language that I didn't understand. I needed an interpreter for. And I think he just needs to pick up on all the different signals that are coming his way and do things a different way, like step back, make himself, more appealing on a different way, invite her in instead of forcing her to be affectionate, to be intimate, because, again, this is something that I had to discover in a rather uncomfortable way to understand that I just wasn't picking up what she was saying in the way she was saying it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that completely. So my 3 phases of coaching are stop, grow, ask. And even in any one moment, okay, even in a moment. So this man is like, what's the strategy that I can do to push forward? What can I say? Like, how can I make this happen? How can I keep pushing? How can I keep pushing? And not paying attention to the actual response she's giving. So stop, like, take a step back. Okay, grow, meaning your understanding of the situation, and maybe take this to the men like he did, but stop the trying to push and ask, because something's not going well, right? So stop, grow your understanding of either what you're going through in your body or your mind, okay, and grow your understanding of what is she really feeling? What's going on here that maybe I'm not paying attention to because I'm pushing so hard? And then the ask is the 3rd phase. And the ask is once you've stopped fucking up, and you understand more of what's going on. You've touched in with yourself and such, and you've used some of the skills, and we can talk about the skills here in a moment. Yeah, be more of her lover, like, right? Have a lighter energy, bring in humor. And I believe this man's trying to do those things. It's sort of like, it's sort of going to his head and then out, instead of coming from his heart and from his guts. And that's what I'm feeling, like, have some humor and let's just have some food together. And, from your heart and from your stomach and from your legs and from your groundedness, not, okay, how do I plan this? And then it comes from the head.
I was just going to chime in on what you were just saying about trying to be fun and playful, and when that's really just not received. And I think it's kind of a turning point that everyone will feel when nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to really affect that or get her back into that fun moment. And you just have to kind of press forward.
Yeah. So I would say there, I mean, I don't know who all has gone salsa dancing or knows salsa dancing, right? But you step forward and then you step back, and you step forward and you step back, and you're asking her to mirror you. You're asking her to follow you. Well, if you step forward and she just stands there and you step on her feet, and then you step back and she just lets the space happen and she doesn't care, she's not dancing with you, right? So that's where you got to go to okay, stop what I'm doing, stop all the trying to do strategy and actions in that moment, and grow your understanding of what's going on within yourself, with what she's putting off, right? And then maybe come and ask the men, or ask her what's going on. So we're going to get into that right now. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. So Cynthia, what do you think that this woman is feeling? I mean, I love what the men were saying. You know, she's speaking loud and clear in the language of body language and like passive, what would I say? Passive understanding, right? So what would you add onto this, or how would you honor these men at this point?
Yeah, well, I so love the feedback, and yes, like when you are dancing with her and she's not moving forward and not moving back an inch, there is a time where it's okay to let her kind of be in her hold up area, because that's what I'm feeling from her. Is she's kind of built this shell around her. She's being like totally pulled in, because to reach out, to expand out, or to allow in somehow feels like a threat to her at this time. So if your energy of a man is, you are okay, like, and at peace with the current like hold up situation, and are, allowing her to do that, that might then feel like, oh, there's some safety in here for me to reach out, or to not be so hold in, because that's definitely a way that women feel like there's not any territory around them for either communicating or whatever is in your energy. That is one of their modes of, I'll go into the cave because nothing bad can happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'll use another metaphor about how to handle this right now. Like, let's pretend, instead of her being closed down and in her phone, let's pretend that she had a broken arm and she's got a cast on her arm, and you're inviting her to go to an amusement park? Yeah, an amusement park. You invited her to go along to the amusement park, but she's not going to be able to use her arm because that's broken. And then you're at the amusement park and you're saying, hey, come do this carnival game where you shoot baskets, and she can't. And you're like, why isn't she trying to shoot baskets with me? She's got a cast on her arm. It seems silly to ask her to use her left arm. Or you're wondering, why is she not, holding my hand with her broken arm? Is there like, why do I keep asking her? So you're asking her to do something right now that she feels is broken. And that's what I'm hearing from you. She's holed up. She's trying to repair herself or guard herself in some way. So at the amusement park is not the place to try to get her to use her broken arm. Okay. She's got to heal her broken arm outside of these intense family situations. Right. And I would not suggest you bring up, so, hey, I'd really love for you to use your left arm today. Could we, take the cast off so you can actually be with us here? Like, why aren't you using this? So if I say it that way, it seems silly, but that's what's going on with this man. He's not getting that she has a broken arm, and he keeps expecting her to use it. Right? Now, what to do about that is for another time. Saturday morning coffee, as we talk about, that's going to be content for another day, right? We've talked about those things. If there's space between the two of you, if she's completely shut down, we talked about that. But here I want to also say that this man is really seeking something from her that he needs to be sourcing from within himself, right? He doesn't need her to use that broken arm for him to have fun at the amusement park. And he's really expecting what seems like too much from the interaction at this point. And he's getting into his head, and it's causing him to spin and try to go into all these strategy questions. Like, if I ask her to do this, and what's the strategy? Anytime, gentlemen, and this happens a lot, especially on a first call with a man, right? If he's all in strategy, well, just tell me the strategy. It's the cart before the horse. You're outrunning your headlights here. Like, we got to step way back, stop, grow your understanding of yourself, grow your understanding of the situation, come ask the men. And then maybe over a Saturday morning coffee, as we talk about, you can ask her to open up when it feels safer, because in the middle of the amusement park is not going to be the place that she's going to want to open up. Is that fair to say? What would you say to all that?
And it's almost like it's a different language. She is communicating with you. And so to kind of give that the space, it's providing that hunger of the feminine to truly be heard. And so it's like, all right, I hear her space, her language right now. And it's also like you're wanting to move the ball forward, because her collapse inside is not, helpful for her or you. So it's in that next moment, in that next day, bringing up that situations to offer some opening. And like, this is a territory that can be moved into, and that it can do good things.
Yeah. And she's safe to step into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm now talking about spinning. When you're in your head like this man is, and your thoughts are going, of what to do about that. Try to feel the spins even more is not going to work, because that just perpetuates the spins. You stop, you take a step back, and you try to differentiate your current state. What am I feeling? What are my emotions? And if you're not practiced at this, it's going to be harder. This is why this is one of the 3 forms of confidence that we teach, right? In our one-on-one coaching and on this show and in our 6-man relaunch groups, right? This is one of the legs of the stool here, is emotional understanding, emotional control. So you step back and you differentiate what you're feeling and bringing yourself into your body. So it's out of your head. Breathe into your belly, feel your feet on the ground. What am I feeling? This man was probably feeling frustrated. He was feeling rejected. He was feeling like not connected. He was feeling like she was shelling herself off, right, at that point. So that's for him to feel. And then what to do next is, and what we're talking about here. One of my top 3 favorite books that I recommend to one-on-one clients is The Masculine in Relationship. And this is by a man, his last name is Youngblood. And he says, on a continual basis, I encounter men compromising and living passively in their relationship with a strong, capable, and loving woman. These men want to live more in their masculine core, but they don't know how. They want their woman to be open to their leadership, but feel her resistance. In their confusion, they shrink. They become pleasers. They follow rather than lead. The women get disinterested and irritable. The relationships end, and loneliness becomes more prevalent. Self-esteem, happiness, and whole families are impacted. Above all else, women want a strong, centered man. Okay, you have to be a centered man as a prerequisite. That's why we do this work. To love and lead her. Love in the situation of whatever's going on in that moment, and then lead her into the next moment. All of your other assets or shortcomings rank much lower in relevance to her. A masculine core is based on the capacity of your nervous system to handle intensity and the mastery of a learnable set of skills. Okay? Your nervous system to handle intensity and a learnable set of skills. Cynthia, what would you say about a woman wants you to love her and lead her? How does it hit you?
Yeah, it's kind of going back to that, what you mentioned in the beginning of, are men, is masculine allowed to be, in the dominance, power in our culture now? Is that like totally shamed and disregarded? And it really is like that love and lead. It's a difference between your leadership in your power. It's not a power over, it's a power within. And when a woman feels your power within, plus the heart of you that is looking to pull out the best of her, the empowerment of her, the strengths of her as well, that's the kind of like leadership and we could even call it dominance, that does, like, the best leaders in the world, or our CEOs, or, lead a school building. That's the kind of, you use the strength of who you are to be king, and to really pull out in others in love the very best for them.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Yeah, I thanks, Cynthia. I just read this passage like 2 days ago, and I actually read it several times because I feel that's like right where I'm at and what's happened to me. I guess Cynthia, you kind of helped bring that out, because I'm fighting right now with all that to get to that, take that lead. My wife is a very strong woman, and over the years I've let her kind of assume that masculine role, and right now that's what I'm fighting to get back. And just really hit home, and thanks for your comments. You kind of helped clarify it a little bit. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great segue. I'm going to draw you guys something right now. So here's going to be one of those fun 2x2 matrix, right? All right. So one axis is what she wants. Okay. What she wants. And you have to know what a woman wants. That's why you're here to learn this, right? Maybe you ask your men's group, or you go to your best friend, your male friend that you can trust, right? Or you go to your coach or your counselor, or you post in our free private Facebook group, right? So the x-axis is what she wants, right? And the y is what she expects. And I got this from a book called Mode 1 by Alan Roger Curry, which is an excellent book. So the other axis is what she expects, all right? Now, a woman may not expect you to be vulnerable and honest, but she might want that. She might want you to do something she doesn't expect. Like this man at the amusement park, maybe he has an amazing time with his kids, and then he swoops in, spins her around and says some humorous things, and then goes back to having fun on his own and with his children, and he's not affected by her, right? So she may not expect that, but that's definitely something that she wants. Okay, so just because she doesn't expect it doesn't mean a bad thing. She might actually want things that she doesn't necessarily expect. So here's what she wants and expects, and here's what she wants but doesn't expect. What you really don't want is things that she expects and doesn't want from you. Okay, like maybe you accidentally do something that she doesn't want. That's one thing, but if you know that she's not responding to you holding her hand and touching her hair, guess what? She's going to expect you to keep doing that shit, even though she doesn't want it. So the key with this is there are things that she doesn't expect, but still wants from you. Like, can you give us an example? Maybe it would be a pattern break, right? Where something that she's like, oh, wow, this is different, but she does want. Maybe in that scenario with the man at the amusement park. What would you say?
Yeah, I love that you brought up the pattern break and the use of like nicknames, or using a name for your partner in a playful way, not in we're roommates and we always like refer to each other as honey and it means nothing, but saying something playfully like, hey lady, and how's it going? It creates neuroplasticity in her brain when there's something new and unexpected. And a name like that is something that can kind of really touch into the, I'm claiming you as my own, and I see you, and this is fun to be together. So it's kind of inviting out something that in a deep feminine, in the deep heart, she is wanting, but it's unexpected. And right now she's expecting, the same old.
Cynthia, what is it about a man moving toward his purpose that she may want? It may turn her on, it may make her proud of her, but she doesn't expect that, or maybe part of her doesn't want it. How would you talk about that, the man going toward his purpose?
Yeah, it's a combination of, that is the deepest feeling of respect in a woman, to feel a man going toward his purpose. And there can be like the lover energy of being like left behind, or not wanting him to leave to go do his purpose. So when the environment is there where both can be there, she gets to feel the respect of you moving towards your purpose and knowing that your purpose doesn't mean, you know, disappearance or the leaving of the warrior that will never return.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so she wouldn't want him to not go forward with his purpose either.
Right.
Yeah.
That becomes, if you're not moving in your purpose, it's like your energy, like it almost becomes kind of limp to her. There's nothing that's like, you know, I'll go with the metaphor, hard and like fast forward. So it's so important. And, you know, I have been in relationships with men who didn't have a strong purpose. And I watched it kind of eat them up. And, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, the feminine soul and what kind of just, you know, destroys or crinkles her. And I've watched that the lack of purpose and that masculine soul kind of results in exhaustion with the world and confusion and cloudiness, if not kind of pulling back in, and almost like him feeling like he was smaller than he was.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I can relate to, if you feel bored in a moment, if you're listless in your life, if, you know, you have to be on fire. Like we talk about turning your shoulders, you have to be on fire for within yourself. Otherwise she has nothing to be attracted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool.
You are in charge of the relationship space, just like a CEO is in charge of a company, or a principal is in charge of the school. And part of that charge is that you, in your honor and your oath to do good things, is to use your power to create container. And it's to be in your power to not prove to those you're leading how powerful you are, or be the one like out in the front saying, you trust me because I am powerful. The power comes from that king who sits and knows himself so well that he then can turn a focus into, you know, who am I inviting out in this place? Who needs my kingly energy? How can I invite their strength into my kingdom, invite their strength into our relationship, because we're doing good things with this. And so that's how in my body, the feminine in me gets activated to be like, oh my God, that's totally like, oh, that feels so amazing. And I feel like there's container here, but I don't feel like I'll be lost in the shuffle, or I can really trust the power here, because the empowerment in me also matters, and there can be contribution to this space.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, you're here because you want to learn those skills, how to be that king, how to embody those skills. Thanks for being here.